Welcome to our Roundtable Q&A event with our parents today. This event will give you all the opportunity to hear from our current parents about their personal experiences as they share their unique perspectives on our school during the 60-minute virtual panel discussion. From our culture, values, and strengths to a frank look at our challenges and weaknesses. A total of 5 sets of questions have been given to our panel of parents prior to our meeting today. Today, we will hear their individual views and insights regarding our school. Now, we do not have any audiences right now. However, if we do have any interested parents, they may pose their own questions to our panel through the Zoom chat function in Zoom. They will also indicate if their question is meant for a particular panelist. And we will answer all the questions at the end of the event. All right, without further ado, it is our pleasure to introduce all the audiences to our panel of parents. We will first introduce Alia Jiwantawa. She is a former television journalist who worked as a TV news reporter, anchor, and producer before moving into the world of media relations. She owns a communications consulting firm servicing a wide range of clients, but finds her toughest clients are her 2 young children. Next, I would like to introduce Winnie Look. Winnie is a project manager at a drug research company that carries out preclinical drug testing. Her primary focuses are on pain and epilepsy, cognitive disorder, and Parkinson's disease models. She is the mother of 2 children, both attending our school. Both children were introduced to the school at 12 months of age and have advanced to CASA and JK French immersion classes. And finally, we have Natalie Khan. Natalie is a mother of 1 5-year-old who attends our school as well in the French immersion classroom. Natalie just completed her MBA and works full-time as a director of digital marketing. She enjoys different activities with her daughter, such as crafts, music, and sports. Right. Now we will begin with the Q&A session. The first question today is, why did you choose the school originally? In which ways is the school what you expected, and in which ways it is not? We will assign this question to Alia. Alia, would you like to give some feedback, please?
Sure. So our first foray into looking into Montessori was almost 8 years ago with our first child. And so as new parents, it was a really nerve-wracking experience looking for someone that was essentially, we're going to be handing over our baby. He was just a few weeks shy of a year old, had been at home with me while I was on mat leave, and I had to go back to work. And so, you know, we thought we knew what we were looking for. There were certain things that we first set out to look for. First was we were looking for a place that was recommended by people we knew, so that we had personal references, you know, that they'd had that experience and what they thought of it, what they liked, what they disliked. The other thing we were looking for, obviously, is a place that would be loving, because we were handing off our baby to these people. So we wanted a place where, you know, the teachers really looked like they loved their job, they loved the children, a place where, you know, if my baby couldn't take a nap and he needed to be rocked or cuddled, that they would do that, that they had that warmth. You know, we were also looking for a place that had, you know, well-balanced meals. I wasn't looking for anything gourmet, because I don't make gourmet food myself, but I wanted a place where, you know, there was some sort of balance between like fruits and vegetables and grains and dairy and protein, because let's face it, there's things that children won't eat at home, but they'll eat it at daycare or at school with their friends. And so having that balanced meal was obviously another thing that we would want for our child from baby up till the toddler and CASA years. And then when it came to Montessori, we wanted to make sure that there was a strong academic focus, because even though as a baby it might not be so important, as he progressed and got older, it was really important that it was a Montessori, not just by name but also by practice. So when we toured, we were looking at, what were some of the tools they were using? Were they Montessori tools? And how are they teaching reading and learning, and how are the teachers interacting? But throughout the process, while we were touring, we realized what other things we would really like in a school. And that was, we had a little boy. Our first one's a boy, and he had a lot of energy. And we wanted a place where he could burn off that energy before he came home, because by the time we'd pick him up, it would be time for bath, dinner, and likely bedtime. And so it was amazing to see that some of the Montessoris that were much closer to home for us didn't even have a playground. They were located in a strip mall or a busy parking lot type of area. They might have a little playground there, but most of them would just put them in a stroller and take them for a walk, or they'd hold a little rope and go for a walk. And I wanted a place where he could burn off energy. So when we went to Sunrise, what was so amazing was not only was there at the time one playground, then they developed a second one, but they had a gym. And in Canada, half the year is too cold to be outside anyway. So the fact that there was a place where the kids could run around and run free was a bonus, something we weren't looking for, but it was great. In terms of how was it what we were looking for, it was everything we were looking for. We wanted that academic focus. We wanted a balance between work and play, because at the end of the day, he was a little kid. We wanted him to still have fun, but to be learning. We wanted a loving environment, and he got that. We have relationships with teachers who may have now moved on, who have still remained a part of our family. So we got all of that. In terms of what we weren't expecting, when we signed up, there was no French immersion. That was an added bonus. We were perfectly content with an English education, and we were going to move to French immersion for public school in grade 1. But Grace can attest, my boy was a little mischievous little boy, had a little too much energy, and she suggested, why don't you give it a try for 30 days? And he went from a really, really naughty little kid to a very studious top student. And so both kids have now gone through Sunrise from infant, toddler, all the way up to CASA. And both kids have been doing French immersion, and they've just been really thriving.
Wonderful. Great. I really like the fact that you love our gym, because that's a prized possession. It's a place where the boys and the kids, the girls, they can run around and, spend a lot of their energy there, right? Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Alia, for your wonderful insight. We would also like to hear from the other two parents on question 1. So perhaps, Winnie, can you also give us some input on question 1?
Yes. So when I was looking for a school before, I wanted to have a school curriculum that had a good balance between play and learning. I didn't want something that was totally academic and it would be really tough for my kids and they won't have fun. And it'll be a straining, strenuous working habit for me, because I'll have to help them practice their homework and things like that. So I wanted them to have fun, and they also had some sort of learning curriculum that they could follow. And the other thing was obviously the price was very comparable to even daycare, so it was something that I wanted really to consider about. The school hours were also extended, so that for me and my husband, who are both working full-time, it was much more flexible for us to have the opportunity to drop them off early and pick them up later if traffic was a problem that day. As Alia said previously, the gym was really huge, and actually the first time that I went to the school, it was a weekend, and they had a lot of teachers gathered in the school gym because they were doing some sort of meeting. And that, my husband commented, was a great thing, because it meant that the school had some sort of, it was a school that was representative and that the teachers were gathering there to meet. Their classrooms are also really spacious, and they had a big window to have daylight come in. They also had a big window to the hallway, so that was easy for parents to kind of peek at their little children before they kiss them and go for the day. So it also gave me a bit of excitement to kind of peek at them to see what they were doing when I picked them up. I also had a really good impression of Miss Grace because when I went there for the second time, the students were there and she was able to call everyone by name, which was a surprise to me. That was a huge school, and if you're not involved, you won't know the kids by name. So that was another thing that gave me a very good impression. I also had another parent who used to send their two children, much older, to the school, and they also gave very good feedback to me. So that was the reason why I chose the school. The expectations that were met, my kids started from infant class, toddler, and to CASA. Infant class, they learned to walk. I never had the chance to really give them a chance to practice, and infant teacher taught them to walk. In toddler class, they learned their 1, 2, 3s, ABCs, shapes, colors, and everything. So that was great as well. And then in CASA, they started the phonetics, tracing, introduction to math. So everything was met in terms of expectation. What was a little bit, I guess, on the sad side was that some of the teachers left during the school year, and that was not something I would have expected for me when I did my primary school or my secondary school, things like that. So, but that's not something the school can really change. And we also grew to love new teachers that took on the place of the teachers who left. So, yeah, generally, I'm very happy with the school.
Thank you, Winnie. We're so glad to hear that you love the facilities as well as the teachers. And I will endeavor to also continue to remember all the names of all our children and parents as well.
And parents, yes.
Yeah, and parents, because
Yeah.
it gives us a very good connection, a good feeling when I'm able to look at you at the face and call you Winnie instead of hi, mommy, hi, daddy, that kind of thing, right? Wonderful. Now, Natalie, would you like to give some input, please?
Sure. So when I was picking where my daughter was planning to go or where I was planning to send her, there were a lot of factors. I have a child who suffers from anaphylaxis as well as asthmatic problems. So she has quite a few health challenges. So some schools that I went to actually preferred or had limited guidelines in terms of health plans in case of emergency. So that was one of my primary concerns when I'm leaving my 2-year-old with someone, that they would be able to monitor if she was ever in distress. And the comfort level of a lot of the staff that I encountered at other schools was minimal. So that really played into my decision-making process. Now, when I went to Sunrise, I can honestly say it was one of the only locations or schools that I went to, Montessori schools that I went to, that I felt completely comfortable with leaving my child and her having and her well-being. So from start to finish of my day, I didn't have to concern myself with her wellness or her health, because I knew that the teachers and the staff that were taking care of her were taking care of her completely. The other things that I looked for, really, as anybody else, was a good curriculum in terms of education, as well as I was looking for French immersion, which I was pleasantly surprised that Sunrise Montessori had a French immersion program. A lot of schools don't have these programs, and I have to say, I mean, my experiences have been with all of the teachers, but the French immersion teachers, which is the path that my daughter's gone on, are absolutely excellent in terms of what they teach the children, how they manage, the English within the classroom, because it's very minimal, if any. And having these children have the capability to comprehend another language and completely speak to them in that language was wonderful at such a young age. Of course, French immersion in primary school and such like that, that's what they do, and that's the goal. But to have it even younger and to be immersed in a different language just really opened my daughter's perspective, and really opened her learning capabilities. So I was really impressed with that. It was definitely an add-on and something that I took very seriously when I was considering a school. And I can't help but say that the staff, regardless of French immersion or not French immersion, are absolutely wonderful. The communication within the school, so as a parent, oftentimes, you know, I've a lot of my, you know, friends and such, they don't know what's going on in the school. And, you know, I also used to always think, well, that's kind of on you to not know, but really and truthfully, it isn't. There's a lot of barriers, I could say, with communication from the schools to the parents. At Sunrise Montessori, there's no barriers. We know what's going on. It's communicated in an efficient manner, and effectively as well. And, you know, the fact that it doesn't feel like a school and it feels like a place, a second home for my child, where she has a very comprehensive learning program, is something that I really, really enjoy. It's something I'm going to miss when she has to go to public school, because it's just a completely different feel. And if you're looking to have your child excel, then I would strongly recommend that these types of programs with Sunrise Montessori would be something that you would really look into, simply for the fact that it's not just a school, it's a second home for your child to learn. In terms of the only thing that I wish would be that they would have, and I've told Miss Grace this many times, French immersion for grade 1 and up, and hopefully in the future that will expand. But the French immersion program, and I think it's just because it's so excellent and the teachers are so excellent, that I really wish it would be from grade 1 and up as well.
We hear you, Natalie. We are looking into it. We hear you. You know, health and safety has always been our primary concern. Even prior to the pandemic, we have been ensuring, especially children who are suffering from anaphylaxis, it is a major concern for everyone. Every single teacher in the school has been very well briefed and trained prior to the child starting with us at any point in time, because we need to know what to do in the event of any incident. So health and safety has always been our #1 priority. And now with the pandemic, even so, with the enhanced cleaning protocols and all that put in place, we have to ensure that the whole place is really safe for all our children. Okay, wonderful. Now we will move on to question #2. I'm just going to read out question #2, which is, what is the biggest impact the school has had on your child? We will direct this question to Winnie. Winnie, would you like to start the ball rolling, please?
Maybe I can bring up how the school has impacted me, which was indirectly because of the impact of my child. And it's the respect for environment, because when my daughter, and I have to hold down my emotions every time I talk about this because I get teary. My daughter was around 2 years old, and we brought her to a kids event where she got an animal balloon. And we were walking to our car and her balloon popped, and a small piece of balloon just dropped on the pavement. So I told her, don't touch it, it's dirty. Keep walking. And she wouldn't go. And I thought maybe she's just really sad that she had a broken balloon. And she stayed there for a minute, 2 minutes. And then finally she said, we got to pick it up. And I was really proud and also embarrassed that my child was teaching me to care for the environment. So I'm really proud of that. And I told Miss Grace before, because I didn't teach her, the school did. So I was very proud of that moment to have her go to Sunrise.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, actually respect for the environment, the teachers, and among the students is actually one of the Montessori approach for learning. We instill that respect from day one when they start their curriculum with our school, because that is the core or foundation of our lives, right? And when I read or when I heard about this, I felt very moved as well. For a little child who wanted or who respected the environment, that's wonderful. Okay, can Alia please add to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much I can say because between two kids, I mean, the impact has varied. You know, just building on what Natalie said before, I mean, the French program is just incredible. And I can tell you now because my older one is in French immersion in public school. And, you know, he was very advanced when he went in. But one thing I was really proud of was he speaks French so beautifully. Like, this is not just like French immersion, basic French. This is like he has taken the French, European French accent from his teacher at Sunrise. And when he speaks, you would think that we were a French household. I went to French immersion and he puts me to shame. So that's, you know, something that's really, really amazing. But I think for both kids, what the biggest impact has been a really strong work ethic. So Hale, my older one, his teacher is now my younger one's teacher. And she used to tell me, he keeps looking for more worksheets. After we're done work, he's looking for more worksheets. And I keep telling him, stop. And then he would ask for more worksheets to take home on the weekend. And I said, you know, he actually pretends to be a teacher and he does worksheets at home. And during the lockdown, he was so excited that I bought him a new Canadian curriculum book from Costco. And this strong work ethic, it came from Sunrise. Because both of my kids, now my 4-year-old tells me, you know, first thing in the morning, we do our work and then we play and we do this and I'm doing language and I'm doing cursive and I'm doing math and this booklet is for this thing and this booklet is for this thing. And I remember my older one doing the same thing, and this strong work ethic has carried through. My son he's now in grade 3. He is still the same way. He makes a to-do list every day. He goes to Spirit of Math for extracurriculars because he's just so advanced in his math from what he learned at Sunrise. And what he did at Sunrise, he's not yet doing in grade 3 in public school. And so that work ethic, that strong work ethic, it's unbelievable what they have developed at Sunrise Montessori. And the other thing is both of my kids learned to do things at Sunrise that I couldn't do at home. I couldn't get them to potty train. I couldn't get my older one to drink from a sippy cup. I couldn't get them to eat vegetables. I couldn't get my little one to read. I tried everything. I bought cue cards. I did everything. She goes back to school after the lockdown, and in 2 weeks, the teacher's sending me videos of her reading things, not just reading, but reading in French. And so, you know, whatever it is that the teachers are doing at Sunrise, whether it's from learning from other children or the support from the teachers, honestly, there were so many things that I would never have been able to accomplish on my own. I'd probably still be trying to potty train my kids.
So the role of the teachers is very important in our children's lives. And we really have to thank our pool of teachers. They are amazing.
Absolutely.
And you all know that, right? Natalie, you want to add to that too?
Yes. So I think the proudest moment, and I've had quite a few. So academically, I've had a few, but we've covered that. But the proudest moment was when my daughter Maya came home and explained to me what empathy was and how in this world, if everyone just practiced more empathy, we wouldn't have problems. And she comes home with these profound things. And I know I didn't teach her them. Not that I don't have empathy, but I know I didn't teach her them. And I just look at her and the questions she asks, I mean, obviously she'll be a philosophy major in university, but I know that it's not just my impact on my child that has created her to think outside of a 5-year-old's box. It is what she does on a daily basis. And going to this concept of empathy, I can say as a parent, I do not go through the same struggles as other parents with the concepts of bullying or the worry that my child is going to come home with a horrible story of how others have treated her, because they have such a level of respect for authority, such a level of respect for each other that is taught at Sunrise that I never have to be concerned that my child was mistreated or in any way, or that my child is mistreating in any way. So I think that those concepts and those core values that are taught really shape how your child interacts with others and how they go throughout this is the foundation that they go throughout in life. And those inspirational quotes and moments are, apologies, I'm sorry, my phone. Those foundational quotes and moments are things that I have had the pleasure of seeing my daughter do, and that is because of Sunrise Montessori.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much. Yes, beyond the curriculum, we have actually ventured into the introduction of a lot more other elements, educational elements, which is really, really very important for the child's growth and development. Things like the anti-bullying campaign that we established a couple of years ago until now, which is very, very important for them to know what anti-bullying is all about, the role of them in trying to abolish or even minimize anti-bullying within their peers and all that within the school. Okay, let's move on to question 3. Question 3 is, what does your child have to say about the school? Natalie, let's start the ball with that question, please.
Unmute. Sorry, I was muted. Well, Maya has a lot to say every day. Every day she is not quiet. She says a lot in terms of what she's learned. So she's excited. Now, Maya was a very shy child. And to be quite honest, in a public school system or a large class system, she would have been in the back. She would not have spoken up. She would have not found her inner voice. She would not have found her confidence. So the fact that I've witnessed my very shy child who didn't want to speak turn into a social butterfly, at times that can be a little irritating, but for the most part, it's good. But also have confidence in what she's learning, who she is, what her path is as a little person, is very, very heartwarming. So, you know, she comes home and talks about every aspect of the school, whether it be, Mommy, you forgot to do something because it was very important and how could you do that, to, you know, what I've learned from Madame Gigi, who is right now the most favorite person. And it's so cute. The other day she came home and she said, Mommy, I want Madame Gigi to teach me next year and for the rest of my life because I know she loves us. And that is not something that you coach or you teach. That's something that you feel, and that's what Maya feels.
Wonderful. Right, personality building, character building, these are all special traits which we focus a lot on in developing our child for their personal growth and all that. Wonderful. Alia, would you like to add, please, Alia?
So my older one, he still wishes he was at Sunrise. I mean, he has gotten used to the public system, but when he first moved to public school, he would come with me to pick up his younger sister and say, you know, can I just come back to Sunrise? And there were moments where I kind of wished he was still at Sunrise and, you know, that the French immersion program continued. But he's done very well in public school and he's fine. I think he's adjusted at this point. But even after COVID, you know, when he would hear my husband and I talking and I'd say, oh, you know, I'm so glad we're putting the little one at Sunrise because it's familiar for her after being at home for 6 months. She's going to just blend right back in. We know exactly what to expect. We know who the teacher is. And it's really nice small class sizes. We have no idea what to expect if we were to put her in JK in public school. My son said, do you think they'll take me back? And I said, I'm sure they'll gladly take you back, but you got to go back to English then, because I don't think you can go back to Madame Gigi's class. I certainly don't want both kids in the same class together. So he really does miss it. He thinks very fondly of it. He had great friendships there. there was less concern about, like Natalie said, I didn't have to worry so much about things like bullying and stuff as I do in public school. My little one just loves it. I mean, it's, you know, for her, it's a fun place to be, but, you know, Madame Gigi is their teacher, and she's seen her, she tells her all the time, I know you from when you were in your mommy's tummy. And that love grew before I even gave birth. She said to me, this child is going to come to my class. There was just this very special relationship with my kids from the very beginning. And so for my kids, while at school, they it's kind of a family setting for them, right? Their friends were like their little circle for birthdays and for special occasions. And Madame is our family. You know, if I ever say, oh, what would Madame think of that? My little one very quickly will say, don't worry, Madame loves me. She won't say anything, you know?
Yeah, Madame is like their mommy at school.
It really is.
Yeah, they have a very good relationship, Madame and her children. Very, very close. Very good. Okay, Winnie, would you like to say something, Winnie?
Sure. My daughter is also a very shy girl, much more shy than any of the other kids I've ever seen. And she took a long time to transition every time she goes into a new class, but afterwards she would love the teacher. And so you can imagine after 6 months in the house, she did have some pushback on going to school. She always wanted to be with me, but now when she asked me, is there school tomorrow? And I said yes, and she says, I like that. So she does love the class and the teachers, and she also saw her previous teacher in the hallway, and she would say, oh, Miss Ellie said hi to me today, and she was so happy. So she really likes all the teachers there, and so does my son. My son has sung O Canada when he was under 2 years old, and that was really amazing. So that's what they tell me about when they come back to school, is what they've learned. They sang O Canada together, and French now. The sister is teaching the younger brother French, so I get an additional little teacher at home.
Wonderful. In fact, both your children are doing very well. Hugo now does not cry, and he just walked right into the classroom. Yeah. And we're quite amazed with his penmanship skills. Like at that age, he was able to draw all his circles and lines well. And I was just working with him yesterday or the day before when I do my rounds. I normally go around and look at my kids and see what they do and how they're progressing, so that whenever I talk to a parent, I know what to say. And our dear friend was holding his pencil and doing all his numbers and his circles, because every alphabet, all right, starts with a circle and a line. And he did it so well. I'm actually very amazed with him for that age, right? He is doing well. And Evelyn now, all her shyness have all gone away. She was quite a introvert when she started, but now she's a happy little girl. Yeah. And I'm so glad for that. Okay, let's move on. Now, are we at question 4 right now? Or are we at question 3? Somebody.
4, I think.
4. Okay. Question 4, the question is, if the school were to be represented as a single person, what would its personality be like in only 3 words? Winnie, since I have you, would you like to begin, please?
Okay, I guess the first thing that would come to mind is proactiveness. So in preparation of the kids coming back to school in September, I've seen a lot of things that school has implemented for COVID-19 policies and what sort of procedure they would follow. And in order for me to feel at ease to bring my children back, I've asked a lot of questions, and they were all answered in very thought through. So I've also seen that they've changed the wave sensor at the door, yep, so that there's minimal contact points. Parents are able to get the fob key once they are allowed to go back in instead of punching the key code. We have to bring our own cutlery and dishes so that there's no sharing of dishes, which is great. I think it was one of the fun parts of going to shopping with them and for them to pick out their own dishes and cutlery. There's also the, and there's still a lot of transparency because I was still able to see what the kids are doing through the phone application, and the teachers would call me whenever there's something that they want to discuss. So it's still very transparent, even though I can't go into the school right now. I know what's going on. The other thing is, and the other parents have mentioned before, we feel very welcomed into the school. We always are approached by smiling faces. You won't see teachers smile if they're not happy working at that school. So they're all very happy, very pleasant to talk to, very approachable. I ask them, I'm one of the very annoying parents that I would ask a lot of questions, and they don't seem to mind. They have the time for me. They would answer my questions. I never felt that I was being undermined. And then the last thing would be dependable, because the school has celebrated their 30th anniversary maybe 2 years ago, and that's enough experience to show that their team has the experience to watch my children, teach them. So I'm very happy with being able to drop them off at school, and I know that they're going to be in good hands.
Thank you so much. You've given us so many good adjectives for the school. Proactive, approachable, dependable. These are really good adjectives for us. Alia, would you like to say something?
Yeah, so I think the 3 words, I mean, I'm sure there's many more, but I would say trustworthy, intelligent, and caring. So trustworthy and caring, I mean, I've talked already at length about how caring everybody has been. And trustworthy, I mean, I entrusted them with my kids when my older one was a few weeks shy of a year old. My younger one was, I think, 16 or 17 months. So it was hard, but I trusted them with my kids. They showered them with affection. They watched them grow up. They see my older one now and they say, oh my God, this is the same kid that came here as a baby and was sitting in the little high chair, and he had his little quirks, and they remember that. But for me, the part that made me feel comfortable was with my older one, I would come on all the field trips. And because I truthfully was really afraid, I thought all it would take is my little runner to take off on them, and how are they going to manage? So I would volunteer and come on a lot of field trips. And the way the teachers managed, I can't even manage my own children if I go to a pumpkin patch. And they manage, like all these kids, they just line them up, they count them again, they count them again. And so I felt a bit more comfortable. Well, with my younger one, there was a time where I really wanted to volunteer, and there were too many volunteers. And I thought, oh my God, I can't send her. She's too young. She's the youngest one in the class. And the teacher sent me a picture from every step of the process. Mommy, I'm on the bus. I'm having fun. I'm sitting with the teacher. Mommy, we're at the theater. I'm having a great time. I'm sitting right next to the teacher. Mommy, we're on the bus. I'm passed out. I had a really great time. I'm really tired. Mommy, we're back at school. I'm really, really hungry, having my lunch. And for me, I literally wanted to cry because this was my baby, the youngest in the class. I could have kept her home and she wouldn't have experienced that. But because the teachers have allowed me to trust them so much, I was able to allow her to enjoy that experience, and it was great. You should have heard the stories when she came home. So definitely trustworthy and caring, and intelligent, because like Nat said earlier, there aren't a lot of schools offering French immersion. And you got to look really hard to find that in a private school or in a daycare, or you have to travel really far. And so that's a really smart thing to do. Intelligent because of the way they lay out the academic program, the whole curriculum, everything about it just screams intelligent.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so Natalie, what about you? What's your take?
So to sum it up in 3 words is really hard, but communicative, honest, and empathy. has honesty and is empathetic. So communicative, because yes, I have the same experience, because I was petrified allowing my only child, I only have one, so I can't mess it up, to go to field trips without me. And the first few I went, and then just seeing how they manage the children, because I've seen other schools take kids to field trips, and I've literally wanted to roll down my window and say, you have one running, I'm not sure if you know. And there was no opportunity for that. So that was huge. I've never seen people count so many times in my life and count the heads and make sure and know where everybody is. So, that in itself. And yes, I also get the pictures. I'm on the bus. I'm doing this. She's doing great. Any concerns that I have, because I have a heightened sense of concern, going to locations that may have things that she could have an anaphylactic reaction to. So the communication, not just for myself personally in my situation, but across the board, is to all parents, and the communication around COVID. I mean, Sunrise was prepared before they needed to be prepared. I didn't have to worry in August that my school had no idea what they were going to do for COVID, because I was briefed along the way, at every step of the way during the summer. That is such a huge thing in the day and age that we live in. Honest, because I get honest feedback about Maya. I mean, these children are extremely bright. And if Maya is ever struggling with something or needs something, they will give me honest feedback. And a lot of parents may not want to hear honest feedback, but it's so important for your child's development. I mean, they're not brutal by any means, but if your child is struggling with something, they'll let you know. If your child excels in something, they will let you know. So that honesty is so important for your overall child's growth. And really empathy, because they understand we are working parents that have to try and parent our children the best way that we can, but they're so empathetic to each and every person's situation. And that attests to the overall values in the school. The fact that Miss Grace, Miss Gracia, Miss Ivy, all of them, one, know me by name, two, know my daughter's things, because it's all communicated. Everywhere you go, you can see where a child that has any type of issue, it's there, bold, this is what you do for them. This is their plan. And just the fact that they actually care, and you can tell that they care. It's not put on. It's not, oh, I'm just, looking after your kid because this is my business. It's not just a business. It is an environment where it's a family. So those are the three that I would use.
Thank you to all of you for all the wonderful things that you have said to us. Just want to highlight on the technology advancement that we are currently having with the fob key. I think that's a good thing for all the parents. You don't have to touch the keypad anymore. Can you imagine with the pandemic ravaging on, and all of you have to touch the keypad upon your return? That's not something that you would look forward to daily, right? And also with that touchless handicap button that we have installed as well. I think that is also a novelty to our children as well, now that they know how to open the door just by breathing at it. These are some of the proactive steps that we have taken to try to minimize any contact with any part of the school building. And it's all in line with the health and safety protocols that our public health, as well as our Ministry of Education, is gearing towards. We just hope that the pandemic will sort of taper off, but I'm not sure. Today, with the numbers increasing, it's creating a lot of jitters among our parents again. But nevertheless, we will still move on. Okay, now let's move on to question 5. And finally, the last question, which is, how would you describe the values of the school and the values of the families in the school community? A dicey question. Okay, we'll start with Aliyah, please.
Oh, I was hoping I could lean on the other parents for some no such luck. You know what, I think one of the key values of the school and the parents who bring their kids here is excellence. We all want our kids to excel. in whatever way. We're not expecting them all to go to Harvard, you know, and become doctors or whatever it may be. It's just to be the best that they can be in whatever it is that they're passionate about. So if they're going to be an artist, be the best that you can be and do the best that you can, and be the best person that you can be, right? Talking about kindness and empathy. It's not just about academics, but just excelling in everything, you know, giving it your best shot, being the best that you can. And the other thing I would say is, I'm not sure it fits in this question as a value of the school, but Sunrise is like a family. It's first of all, it's a family business. So you're not going to have some big corporate office telling Miss Grace, this is what you're going to do. This is a family business in the community that is going to do what the families that trust Sunrise are looking for, and based on what our needs are in this community. And so, you know, we've got that, just like you would feel from a family business, like a restaurant, a family-owned restaurant, you've got that very close-knit feel. It's the same thing with the school. Everybody knows everybody by name. Some of the parents know each other. The kids know each other. The kids know parents. Oh, look, that's Sohail's mommy. Oh, look, that's Evelyn's mommy. You know, it's just, we drive into the parking lot. Mommy, that's Evelyn's mom. That's Raven's mom. That's Maya's grandma. It really is a family. And so there's that comfort level where the principals, the teacher, everybody knows who our kids are. If they're wandering in the halls, they know exactly which classroom they go back to. And you know, particularly right now in this post-COVID, I can't even say post-COVID because we're in the midst of COVID, but we've come back from a lockdown. It's very, very hard for everyone. Anxiety is high for everyone, particularly our children. And our kids have been at home with us, whether they were learning or not. They've been at home and in the comforts of their home for 6 months. And so to go back to a new school or to just any school, it's very hard. My older one is a pretty strong kid, but you could tell he was a bit anxious, not knowing who's going to be in his class, who's going to be learning online, who's his teacher. Everything was new for him. I'll be honest, our little one was registered to go to JK in a public school because during the lockdown, I thought, this is really great. I don't have to commute. I'm really enjoying this extra time. If I put her in public school, it's 5 minutes down the road for her, 5 minutes up the road for him. And the only reason I decided I'm going to sacrifice that convenience and I'm going to do the commute to Sunrise is because it's familiar, it's family. And for my daughter, who's already experiencing anxiety, I knew the moment she walked through that door, all of that anxiety would be gone because there's familiar faces, it's a familiar school, and the most loving, loving people that she's familiar with.
Thank you, Alia. Natalie, would you like to add, please?
Yes. So in terms of the values, I mean, there's just so many values that I really appreciate as a parent. I know that my daughter is taken care of from the beginning to the end of the day. And I think that the one thing that I really like about the school is that, I mean, each family and family dynamic is different. I mean, you know, we can be similar in many, many ways, and we can be different in many, many ways. But the values never infringe on celebrating the diversity, but also relishing in the similarities. And I think that that's something that is really present day in and day out at Sunrise Montessori. I know that my child is taken care of, and everybody does, as Alia said, want excellence for their child. And I wouldn't mind if mine was a doctor, just saying. but yes, so, you know, I know that she will strive and be the best that she can be. And that is from the value system that's at the school, and that's from the value systems of the fellow parents. But we get to celebrate how we are different every single day as well. So I think that that's something that's extremely important.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Winnie, your turn now.
Okay. This one's a really hard one for me. I also don't really know how to coin the term value, but as I've mentioned before, like Evelyn has respect for like her teachers, her friends, the environment. They know how to wait in line. They know how to share. I think those things have to be not only done while they're at home, it's also, they spend 8 hours at school. That's more than what I see them as. So the teachers are really important. The school, the staff are very important to how they take on their values. And so far I've seen everything is very good for me. I've seen the school do a lot to promote like Terry Fox and also cultural celebrations, things like that, which I think it's great to open them up to see all the different things that other cultures do. So I think in terms of value, that is a check mark for me. And also the parents that I've met in the school, they're all very friendly, and I've connected with a couple of the parents that my daughter's friends' parents. Even though they're not in the school anymore, we still keep in contact, and that's because they're just great people. And like it's a great place to, not only for my child to know friends, but also for me to know her friends' parents. So I am very appreciative of that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us all your views and your different perspective of our school. Like any other normal businesses, we recognize our areas of weaknesses as well as our strength, and we will endeavor to work on areas to improve or to further improve our level of service to all our students and also to the school community. It is always our mission to provide a loving and nurturing environment to every one of you, including even the grandmas and grandpas. We cannot forget about them because our school is filled with them, right? If a day comes by where I don't see Natalie's mom and I'm like, oh, Natalie, where's your mom? I miss talking to her, things like that. So it's a very close-knit community, and we treasure that because it's something where you cannot just achieve it overnight. It's a process. So we will continue to endeavor in providing a nurturing and comforting and loving environment to everyone in our school community. And also we would like to thank all of you for giving us such great support and continued support to our school during these difficult times. And also we would appreciate if you could share some of the good news about our school to your friends and the community. So thank you for taking out so much of your time to join us today in our Q&A roundtable event. Thank you so much. Do you all have anything else to add, or we will call it a day? Okay, so thank you so much, and we will exit the meeting now. Thank you.